The UK government has just announced that they will be approving a multi-million-pound geoengineering experiment to dim the sun.
It appears somewhere in the range of 40 to 60 million tons, 40 to 60 million tons of these toxic nanoparticles are being dispersed, sprayed into our skies annually.
This footage is 100 years old. It shows part of the military exercises that took place off the east coast of the United States. The Martin MB-2 airplane is emitting a trail of chemical smoke that rains down to the surface of the ocean, forming a dense smoke curtain hundreds of feet tall.
Chemtrail theory. The US government is taking it so seriously, it's now setting up a task force. All vapor trails from aircraft are dangerous.
We're back with another one. We're diving into some of the strangest, weirdest videos on the web. Don't move a muscle, let's dive straight in.
Lockdown is mixed.
This is the final transmission. We're going underground.
Chemtrail theory. The US government is taking it so seriously, it's now setting up a task force. So this isn't a new theory, it goes back to the 1990s, when a farmer in Washington state looked up at an aeroplane and became convinced that it was releasing dangerous chemicals to make him ill. He was one of the first to come up with the idea that all vapor trails from aircraft are dangerous. There's no evidence, scientific or otherwise, to prove that's the case, but the theory has evolved, and now lots of people believe that federal agencies, private companies are using vapor trails to release dangerous chemicals to trigger hurricanes, other weather phenomena, and to change the climate. And that's the part that the US government is interested in, apparently. According to a memo seen by KFF Health News, they are recruiting specifically for a chemtrail task force. So it's going to look into this theory, they're taking it that seriously, and they clearly think there's something in it, despite, as I say, there being no evidence for it.
So apparently chemtrails don't exist, but they've created a US task force to tackle them. Yeah, sure mate. Just like the aliens don't have an Area 51.
This footage is 100 years old. It shows part of the military exercises that took place off the east coast of the United States between 1921 and 1923. The Martin MB-2 airplane is emitting a trail of chemical smoke that rains down to the surface of the ocean, forming a dense smoke curtain hundreds of feet tall. The smoke is created from a highly toxic chemical called titanium tetrachloride. It's a colorless liquid that reacts with air moisture to form the smoke you see here, which consists of hydrated titanium acid and hydrogen chloride. It is dangerous to work with, an irritant to respiratory systems, and can corrode metal. It's not hard to imagine how this process of delivering huge chemical payloads by airplanes at altitude would be important to later developments in geoengineering and cloud seeding. If they were doing this 100 years ago, imagine what they can do now.
Man, they were seeding clouds 100 years ago. Imagine what they can do now. Let's find out.
Well, a lot of people are really skeptical of weather modification.
Totally unlike cloud seeding. In order for cloud seeding to work, you need a big fluffy cloud that's already there. Solar radiation modification, you just put it up at like 60,000 feet. And then there's chemtrails or contrails, right? This is the nefarious addition of either some sort of neurotoxin or goodness knows what to those contrails to poison people.
Have you seen any evidence?
You know about how like birth control's in all water now?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
What?
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that's poisoning us that we should be like really concerned about right now. So
There's birth control in the water.
Yeah. So right now, lots of women use hormonal birth control, right? And then we recycle a lot of that water. We don't actively filter out for the hormones that are in it. And so when that gets recycled, it gets put back in the water supply, and then dudes end up drinking it too.
Man, they didn't mention that on the Daily Weather Report. Birth control and neurotoxins falling from the sky. Well, it would have been useful a few years back.
Region, so folks in the orchard industry, even backyard gardeners, should take care of their plants. You can see scattered showers still showing up on the Pacific Northwest radar throughout the region. The heaviest of them, of course, well to our north. Here in Southern Oregon and Northern California, we've got a bit of an unusual situation. Now, this first portion of the radar cycle, fairly bland and typical, but then you see these bands of very distinct cloud cover moving into the region. That is not rain, that is not snow. Believe it or not, military aircraft flying through the region, dropping chaff, small bits of aluminum. Sometimes it's made of plastic or even metallicized paper products, but it's used as an anti-radar issue, and obviously they're up there practicing. Now, they won't confirm that, but I was in the Marine Corps for many years, and I'll tell you right now, that's what it is.
Fair play to him admitting that. Rare honesty these days. I hope he enjoyed his last paycheck because, he's probably vanished now.
So here's the thing about chemtrails. So in training, we're not really taught too much about it, but we are told, and it happens every flight, there is a button. There's a button right next to a light, and when that light goes red, you have about 30 seconds. You have to hit the button, and then as long as it stays red, you keep the button pushed in, and then when the light goes out, then you hit the button again, it pops out. That's all we know. We don't know exactly what's going on. We're not doing this on purpose, but if we don't press the button, our pay gets docked about 50% an hour for that flight. I don't think we would go to jail. We're just following what our employer is telling us to do. Every airline does this. Every commercial jet does this.
I bet HR called that pilot quick after that one. I mean, it's amazing how he admits that on camera, but still gets away with it. Absolute madness.
The chemtrail thing, it's just nonsense. There is some evidence that they have experimented with spraying stuff in the sky, and they definitely seed clouds in certain parts of the world. It's Abu Dhabi, right? Where they make it rain once a week. They live in the desert.
They send jets up there?
Yeah, they send jets, and I think they spray into the clouds, and somehow or another, it makes it rain.
I mean, I get cloud seeding in the UAE. It's hot and Satan's balls out there. Who's asking for more rain? Seriously.
Is the White House trying to block out the sun? What? Of course not. But it was mandated to do research on how to refract small amounts of incoming solar energy to slow down the climate crisis, with a thing called solar radiation management technology, also known as solar geoengineering. This kind of technology can be deployed in 3 different ways. By injecting aerosol into the stratosphere, spraying marine clouds with microscopic sea salt crystals to make them more reflective, and ground level albedo enhancement, which is a fancy way to say make more surfaces on Earth reflective by painting them white. This is a very niche reference, but have you seen the movie Geostorm starring Gerard Butler? This reminds me of it. An innovative solution turns destructive and dangerous. By the way, experts are calling it dangerous and even unethical. The deployment of solar geoengineering could have effects on weather patterns, agriculture, and availability of food and water. Now, I have to emphasize that the White House is only researching this and does not have any active plan on deploying it. So this could very much just stay in the realm of science fiction.
Man, if you haven't seen Geostorm, go and watch it now. Because this is how it always starts. Messing with Mother Nature this way, it always ends the same way. Tears or tsunamis. You decide.
After the devastating floods in Texas, it's been revealed that cloud seeding technology has been utilized. Is there even a remote possibility that this influenced those terrible events? First, they said we were crazy for saying they're controlling the weather and spraying chemicals in our skies. Now they are admitting that they are controlling the weather and spraying chemicals in our skies, but that it's not causing any harm. Okay, we are doing it, but it's fun. Is that right, Autopen? Yeah, it's good for the sky. Okay, call me crazy, I don't care, but I'll go ahead and say it. Weather modification and geoengineering is deadly and dangerous. My bill will ban weather modification and geoengineering. The government and companies who profit off these practices don't get to control our weather because we are all affected by it. We aren't lab rats, and weather is not a controlled environment. Well, that seems like a perfectly reasonable submission to the idea of an all-powerful God that would control meteorology and the cosmos as a whole. Do you see how rationalism leads to maximal control for humankind and human institutions, and that human beings are inherently flawed and fallen and somehow will always gravitate towards sin, brokenness, and crazy weather experimentation?
Admit it's real, still doing it, and the UK looks like a scene from out of Silent Hill. Lovely. Just lovely.
Now is an acceptable fact that they're doing geoengineering of our skies. Like 5 years ago, you were a crazy conspiracy theorist. Now there's laws being passed about it. And you put all that together, you're like, that's how people get sick.
It's weird, like even cloud seeding, you know, which is legal. Like you can seed clouds and you can make it rain, but like how exact is this science? Yeah, how, you know what I mean? Like, what happens if you cause floods like they did in Dubai? Did you see that?
Camels just flowing down the
Lamborghinis, drowning.
Yeah. Poor Lamborghini.
Floods in Dubai, and camels surfing, and Lamborghinis doing the backstroke. Yeah, totally normal weather, mate. Nothing to see here at all.
The UK government has just announced that they will be approving a multi-million-pound geoengineering experiment to dim the sun. Is it not dim enough already? So the British government's Advanced Research and Invention Agency, ARIA, is about to drop £50 million into experiments that aim to reflect more sunshine back into space in order to slow the effects of global warming. Now, to do this, one idea is to inject aerosols like sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere so that the tiny particles reflect the sunlight. Another idea is to brighten clouds over the ocean by using ships to spray sea salt into the air to enlarge them. And a third idea is to seed certain types of clouds to allow more of Earth's heat to escape into space. Now, I don't need to tell you guys that trying to artificially alter the climate is highly controversial. However, the lead scientist said that these experiments are on a very small scale, no toxic substances will be released, and that they have strong requirements about the reversibility of effects, if any. They're likening it to when a big volcano erupts. They often blast tiny particles into the stratosphere that blocks some sunlight, and in some cases it actually cools the planet slightly for a year or two. What they're trying to do is somewhat imitate this, but in a controlled way. However, no matter how careful they are, it is not without risks or uncertainties. In fact, in January 2022, over 60 academics published an open letter calling for a ban on developing or deploying solar geoengineering. So the question is, are we at a point with climate change where drastic measures like this need to be taken, or should this be stopped immediately?
They're spending £50 million to dim the sun in the UK. Mate, I mean, it's hardly the Costa del Sol here. Have you seen the weather here lately? All that's needed is less light and more depression. Wankers.
Scientists in China just set a new fusion world record with their artificial sun. China's experimental advanced superconducting tokamak maintained a fusion plasma for a record-breaking 1,066 seconds, while also reaching temperatures of up to 100 million degrees Celsius, about 10 times hotter than the center of the sun. On Earth, we don't have the extreme pressures to drive particles together to achieve fusion. Instead, we make up for it by using temperatures that are even hotter to get particles moving fast enough to overcome the repulsive force between them. Tokamaks, like yeast, use magnetic fields to levitate the plasma in the center of the reactor. Building a system that can keep the magnetic field perfectly balanced and the plasma stable while resisting these incredible temperatures is kind of hard to do. So, more than doubling the plasma lifetime in less than a year is exciting progress for all fusion lovers worldwide. Finally giving Taylor Swift a break from being the shining light in all of our lives, and allowing us to finally bottle a star, probably for less than the price of an Eras tour ticket. If you like science and tech breakthroughs, follow for more.
A fake sun 4 times hotter than the real one. Next, it'll be fake stars, fake moon, and fake reality. My poo brain can't keep up with this simulation anymore.
Chinese fusion reactor ignited artificial sun for 17 minutes. One of the 3 largest fusion reactors in China has successfully kept the plasma heated to 70 million degrees Celsius for more than 17 minutes, according to Chinese media reports. This achievable result is considered a significant step in the development of fusion energy technology. This event is generating great interest and expectations for future advances in this field.
Not sure about this one. Is that shit real? I mean, if it is, let me know in the comments, please. Let's take a look at the next one.
With a temperature of 15 million degrees Celsius, the core of the sun is the hottest place in the solar system. In 2022, Chinese scientists broke this record with their own artificial sun. This artificial sun used nuclear fusion reaction to achieve a very high temperature. It sustained 52 million degrees Celsius for more than 17 minutes. Scientists are trying to harness the energy of nuclear fusion for over 70 years. China plans to make it operational and get infinite energy by 2035.
Fair play if they nail a fake sun by 2035. But what happens if every country has one? Basically, slowly cooking the earth, right?
We're talking HAARP today. I understand why people would get all nuts about this project. It stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research program. It's a U.S. government-funded project. It was built in 1993. It was a joint venture to create this area between the United States Air Force, United States Navy, DARPA, and University of Alaska Fairbanks. People say it can control the weather. People say that it can be used for like mind control. The president of Venezuela, he blamed the earthquake in Haiti. He blamed HAARP for that. They can make flights crash or disappear, and it allegedly can set the atmosphere like on fire. They're basically the science fiction arm of the Department of Defense.
And this guy was never seen again. Just kidding. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Hope he's okay. But if they can control the weather, surely they can control the climate, right?
A couple questions here about HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. This is located up in Alaska. It's currently funded by the Air Force Research Lab. It was formerly funded by the Office of Naval Research. One of the prime customers is DARPA, which is currently running experiments at the facilities. To start with you, Dr. Prabhakar, I understand that a lot of folks here on the committee probably don't understand what HAARP does. I think most Alaskans don't really know what HAARP does or why the agency is involved in it. So a very brief explanation.
One of our programs has been using the HAARP facility for the research that it's pursuing. And my understanding is that we did get value out of that interaction.
Dr. Walker, your agency is currently running the facility.
The Air Force has gotten great value out of HAARP in the past. We took over from the Navy and managed it and actually did a number of experiment campaigns up there. Moving on to other ways of managing the ionosphere, which the HAARP was really designed to do, was to inject energy into the ionosphere, be able to actually control it. Now, with DARPA completing their project, that's our last government customer that we have in the site.
It basically makes the ionosphere a laboratory, and we can do experiments that no one else can do. It's a laboratory without walls.
So, it's official. It's in Congress now. So they're controlling the weather. And maybe us too?
And the formula, the sort of the architecture for the HAARP project up in Alaska, a lot of that comes from Tesla's research. And it took me quite a while to connect the dots, but you will find Tesla's missing work suddenly shows up in patents from this guy somewhere in Alaska, I forget his name. And out of the blue, he lands a contract with the DoD for a lot of money, and they build a facility in Fairbanks, Alaska. And it's just an array of antennas in a small building, and it cost a fortune. Like, where'd the money go? Cost a fortune. And what it does is it ionizes and creates plasma in the atmosphere. And they say we use this to test the atmosphere. But it could also be used for all kinds of processes. What Tesla wanted to do was create free energy by exciting the ionosphere. That was what he was doing with Wardenclyffe Tower. But
so basically reinventing what Tesla did over 100 years ago. Nice one, HAARP. We could have had free energy over 100 years ago, but nah, mate. We'll just keep paying the bill.
What you didn't realize is that Bill Gates doesn't think of himself that way. Bill Gates doesn't think of himself as some guy who got super rich making bad software. Bill Gates thinks of himself as God, in control of the solar system. And that's why Bill Gates is now backing something called sun-dimming technology that would reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, causing global cooling. Ooh, that's not fraught with risks.
Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth.
Now, just to restate, Bill Gates is not God. Bill Gates is some kind of weird, socially awkward rich guy who lives in Seattle. He doesn't own the planet, but he's now changing the planet single-handedly. This is not just over his yard in Seattle. This is over your yard and our oceans and the whole planet. Now, according to Forbes, Frank Kutch, who's the project's top investigator, quote, does not know what the results might bring. Just experiment with the globe and find out what happens.
So first data, then health, and then food, and then the sky itself. Bill Gates is slowly starting to edit the planet like it's a Microsoft software update.
Black noise. Yeah. Black noise is something that Barrow's got very interested in. It's the one facet of black noise is that everything, like a glass, if phenophrine hits a particular note, the vibrations are that of the metabolism of the glass and it cracks it. Yeah. So a black noise is the register within which you can crack a city or people, or it's a new controlled bomb. It's a noise bomb, in fact, which can destroy.
Is it a real thing? I mean, is it something that somebody's
invented in France?
Could a tyrant use it to...
Well, until last year, you could buy the patent for it in the French patent office for about the equivalent of $3-4.
And it would wipe out it's concentrated...
Depends how much money you put into it. I mean, a small one could probably kill about half the people, but a big one could destroy a city, or even more. I mean,
in radio tomography with 30 watts, looking for oil in the ground. I found 26 oil wells over a 9-state area, and 100% of the time was accurate with just 30 watts of power beaming straight into solid rock. HAARP uses 1 billion watts beamed straight into the ionosphere for experiments. Picture these strings on the piano as layers of the earth. Each one has its own frequency. What we used to do is beam radio waves into the ground, and it would vibrate any strings that were present in the ground. We might get a sound back like, and we'd say, that's natural gas. We might get a sound back like, and we'd say that's crude oil. We were able to identify each frequency. We accomplished this with just 30 watts of radio power. With 1 billion watts, the vibrations are so violent that the entire piano would shake. In fact, the whole house would shake. In fact, the vibrations could be so severe underground that could even cause an earthquake.
HAARP, earthquakes, weather control, Bowie called it. Ground control to Major Tom. Sorry, couldn't help myself.
Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And as it turns out, the cleanest.
Now, the most amazing thing is that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you, it's raining. That's unbelievable. Oh, NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
For the US folk, he did Top Gear, a huge show here in the UK. And here he is decades ago at NASA making rain clouds in real time. Jeremy Clarkson, who saw that coming? Madness.
Seeing these lines in the sky, some believe these are concerning chemtrails and others just call it a conspiracy theory.
Either way, Florida lawmakers took a big step toward what they call banning weather manipulation today. Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders looks into the plan and also what's next.
It was last year between Hurricanes Helene and Milton, GOP firebrand and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene had this viral post. She claimed the federal government was controlling the weather, stoking conspiracy theories that the White House was trying to influence the 2024 election. The idea was quickly denounced by politicians on the right and left, but about a month later, State Senator Ileana Garcia filed SB 56, banning weather modification in Florida.
28 yeas, 9 nays, Mr. President.
So the bill passes.
And Thursday, it passed the full Senate.
This is about protecting Florida's environment and public health. With no federal guidelines in place, Florida must take responsibility for its own airspace.
If signed into law, the bill bans the release of chemicals, substances, or use of a device to affect temperature, weather, climate, or intensity of sunlight.
Florida bans weather manipulation. The UK bans sunlight.
It appears somewhere in the range of 40 to 60 million tons, 40 to 60 million tons of these toxic nanoparticles are being dispersed, sprayed into our skies annually.
You said the word they. They're doing it. Who are the they?
Ultimately, those behind these programs are always those who print the money. They control militaries, they control political circles, they control media, they control everything. Those who print the money. We know we have many agencies involved, and they're certainly compartmentalized. We have government documents, we have Senate documents. One Senate document, 800 pages long, is posted on our site, and we've highlighted the important parts so you don't have to go through all of that. But we know these programs go back decades. Even that particular document from the 70s outlining budgets in the hundreds of millions of dollars then, outlining the intergovernmental cooperation with these programs, even between, quote, otherwise adversarial nations, China, Russia, US.
40 to 60 million tons of nanotech dust in the sky? Yeah, that's fine. Totally normal. Just your daily dose of atmosphere seasoning. Bon appetit, humans.
Okay, I don't think Jewish space lasers did that, but there was a real concern with the wildfires of Ontario.
Yes.
That so many of them started simultaneously over a large distance that it is almost impossible that this was not some sort of a concerted effort to start this fire. And then there was the question, were they experimenting with some sort of space or satellite-based energy weapon?
Well, what
I don't
about
even know if
these
it got
floods,
away with it because it's conveniently in the middle of the woods.
What about these floods in Texas? With the cloud seeding?
Yeah.
This is a problem.
Well, they were cloud seeding just a few days before that.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Well, that's also the problem that happened in Abu Dhabi, or no, Dubai.
That's right.
In Dubai, where they openly admit that
they're
this
manipulating
is a
the weather.
So next time they say the forecast is 100% rain, maybe, just maybe, someone scheduled it. And as always, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, the truth is out there. Or maybe it's up there somewhere. See you in the next one.